Okay, this is exercise 15-13, cost allocations to divisions. We've got the Martini Hotel and Casino situated on Lake Tahoe in Nevada. We have a 300-room hotel and a restaurant, and ask your recommendations basis on the hotel for allocating fixed overhead costs. So we already have the segment margins here. And we are told down here that we can allocate the fixed overhead, which is 14,660,000 down here, by either the direct costs, by the amount of floor space, or by the number of employees. Okay, so one of the first things that we might do is to just create a segment margin on that. So we would have the hotel division, we would have the restaurant division, and we would have the casino division, and then we would have Martini as a whole. Okay, so our revenues, and we're just writing this down. Again, this is another one that Excel would be a lovely thing to have to do with. Is 16,925,000. The restaurant is 6,150,000, and the casino is 12,400,000, and that gives us a total of 35,475,000 on that. Then we have our direct costs. Of 9,700,000, 3,924,600, 4,493,200, and we sum that all up, and we get 18,117,800. So we just subtract those off, and we get the segment margin, 7,225,000. We get 2,225,400 and 7,906,800. All total, we have 17,357,200. And then our overhead costs is going to be the 14,660,000. Subtract that off, and Martini as a whole has 2,690,000. So, 200, isn't that? Yeah. 2,697,200 of operating income. Okay. And so the first thing that they ask us to do is to get our segment margin as a percent. So that's pretty simple. We just divide the segment margin by the revenue on that. So we get 7,225,000. And we divide that by 16,925,000. And we get 42.69. I'm rounding at 2 decimal places or 4 decimal places, depends how you count. But that's a percentage of that. So we get 2,225,000 400 divided by 6,150,000 divide, and that gives us 36.19%. And finally, we've got the casino, 7,906,800 divided by 12,400,000, and that gives us 63.76% on that. So that's our segment margin. If you wanted to, I would probably do this. I would take the 17,357 200 and divide it by the 35,475, and we find that our average is 48.93%. Now the problem didn't ask for that, but that's something I would probably do on that. Okay, so then it says for part 2 that we can allocate it any which way we want to, either direct costs or by or I'm going to skip down here a little bit. We can do it by floor space, or we can do it the final way, which is number of employees. All right. So regardless of which way you do this, do this down just a little bit. Regardless of which way you do this, you're going to need to get this, change these costs into percentages. So the direct cost for the hotel was 9,700,000, and we've already got the total here of 18,117,800. And I'm going to store that, divide it, and so for the direct costs, we get 53.54%. For the restaurant, we have the direct costs of 3,924,600, and divide that by the recall. That gives us 21.66%. And finally, the casino is 4,493,200, and the direct costs gives us 24.80%. Okay, so now the total, remember, is the 14,660. And I'll store that one also, times 0.5354 is, I'm going to skip a couple lines, 7,848,964 times 0.2166, 3,175,356, and times 0.248 times is 3,635,680. So we can bring these segment margins 7,225,000, 2,225,000, and 7,906,000, and just subtract that all off. And we get 623,964. That's a negative. We get 949,956 negative, and we get 4,271,120. And that's a positive. And of course, our final number is going to come out to the same 2,667,000. So that would be doing it by direct costs. The floor space is given to us here as 115,000, 23,000, and 92,000. And if we add that all up, didn't really need, so that's 230,000. Didn't need those zeros since they're all in thousands. But, and so we will store that. And so this is 50%. This is 10%. And this is 40%. So again, we take that 14 million. Nope. Yeah, the 14,660,000 enter times 50% is going to be is going to be 7,330,000. 10% would be 1,466,000, and 40% would be 5,864,000. Again, we just bring these segment margins down: 7,225,000, 2,225,400, and 7,906,800. Subtract those off. And when we subtract those off, that would be negative 105,000. This would be 759,400. That's a positive. And this would be 2,042,800. And so that's that. And then finally, we could do it by the number of employees. Our number of employees is 360 in the hotel, 90 in the restaurant, and 450 in the casino. Add that all up, that's 900. So that's going to be 50% there. This is going to be 10% again. And this one would be obviously 40%, right? Okay. So now we can just reverse these. The 50% will be the 7330000. The 10% will still be the 1,466,000, and the 40% will be the 5864. Again, bring those segment margins down. Oops, that's a 400. I just made the mistake a lot of you make on exams. You get in a hurry. And then this one, the 7,906,800. And if we subtract that off, we get 1,361,000 there. This is going to be the same 759,400 there, and this will be 576,800. Now, why does this matter? Well, because we often reward managers of divisions based upon the performance, and allocating overhead can be part of that performance. So that this can actually be important. One of the things that they ask in this, of course, we did that. How would you decide to allocate the indirect costs? I personally would probably do it this way so that everybody is profitable. But again, as a total company, it doesn't matter. You're still going to end up with the same 2,697,000 plus net income on that. But it doesn't matter. And one of the things that is kind of scary, and this is for people who don't understand some things, they are quick to want to cut divisions that are losing money. And if you think back to your economics classes, obviously there are competitive goods and there are complementary goods. So, if I put up a hamburger stand and a taco stand across the street from each other, those are generally speaking competitors to each other. So I'm not going to go eat hamburgers and immediately go eat tacos at the same time. That's not going to happen. One day I may go eat hamburgers. A couple days later, I may go eat tacos, and that's fine. But they are competitors. And if there was only a taco stand there for a while, and then a little while later, a year later, the hamburger stand goes in, then it is possible, even likely that the revenues for the taco stand will go down a little bit because they have competition now, right? But when we're looking at this casino, we've got a hotel, a restaurant, and the casino itself. Those are not really direct competitors of each other. Matter of fact, There will be people who show up to the casino and don't visit the restaurant or the hotel. There will be people who stay in the hotel, maybe for a conference, that don't go to the casino or the restaurant. And, if it's a decent restaurant, there may be people that show up to eat at the restaurant who don't go to the casino or hotel. But in general, these three divisions complement each other. It's nice if you're going to get away and go to a casino, think of Las Vegas, that it has a hotel on the premises, it has a restaurant or two on the premises. And so, and it's good for the company that the customer doesn't have to leave the premises, and so they can um, they can be more full service. If you want to put it kind of a way, they can extract more dollars per customer. If I don't have to go down the street to a restaurant, I'm not likely to go to a different casino to gamble. If I'm playing blackjack and then go to the restaurant, I'm probably going to go back to the blackjack table there. But if I walk down the street to a restaurant, I may go to a different casino. Maybe my luck will change. Maybe it's different. Maybe the lighting's different. Whatever. So those are complementary goods. So don't necessarily get in a hurry to get rid of things that are losing money that may have potential. The same true in our previous problem, 5-21. You don't necessarily want to get rid of, where they say what to do about the bottom 40% of customers that had a loss. Who is profitable and who is not profitable changes. Um, we've all seen that there are businesses that just go gangbusters for a while and then not so much after a while. You can think of it, and so you have to analyze your customers not just on what's happening right now, but what are their prospects? Is their business increasing? Um, the business you're doing with them, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Have they stagnated? You have to be able to look at these customers and cost of the whole. And it is a legitimate criticism of the accounting profession, the accountants in the accounting profession, that we tend to look at expenses a lot harder than we look at revenues. Um, we need to look at revenue. We need to learn to look at revenues and embrace that marketing function and talk about what can we provide as accountants to enhance the revenue side of things. Obviously, it's not going to be our primary focus. It never will be because we're not marketers. But how can we contribute to making that revenue function more efficient and more effective? And sometimes that is not putting artificial restrictions on people. So they're not doing paperwork for us that and taking away their face time with customers. Those sorts of things. So be cognizant of the business as a whole, and don't forget the revenue side of things when you're out there in the real world being an accountant. All right. I will get to some more problems. I'm going to take a break for now, and I'll get to some more problems a little bit later.